classification. Okay. So let's see here. All right, here we go. Throw my bomb. Boom! Okay? As soon as that first boom happens, we call that the what?
Primary.
Primary, okay? And what is usually going to be the result of that primary? What's the big thing? What's the big problem with that primary? Pressure, okay? Which means basically everything that is hollow or a membrane type of material it can possibly get damaged. Or anything that has some type of pressure in it can get damaged. So we're looking at the lungs. Could actually get damaged. The eardrum, all the hollow organs, your eyeball, the globe, because it's a globe, it's got pressure in there, ocular pressure. And then your patient could suffer a concussion without any visual signs that he's got a head injury. That's just because when the wave went, head moved, the brain didn't, boom, hits the front, coup contra coup. See how that works? Okay. Now, that blast goes off, then what's next?
Secondary.
Secondary, okay? And what is usually the cause of that?
Shrapnel.
So if I threw a bomb right there, what would be shrapnel pieces in here? The desk, the chairs. Yep. Possibly if someone was standing outside too. Glass, and that glass, okay? Big problems with that, basically penetrating injuries. That shrapnel goes flying, it's gonna keep flying until something stops it. And if your patient's body's in the way, we're gonna have penetrating injuries. And if it doesn't penetrate, just hits the body, that's what we call a blunt injury. So those are the two big ones from that secondary. Then, not only is the items going to get thrown, who else is probably going to get thrown?
Nunez.
Nunez is going to get thrown, right? The body displacement, okay? Well, is there any really big issues as she's flying in the air?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not too much, right? There's still probably shrapnel get hit her, but where's the big injuries going to come from? When she hits, okay? When she hits. And those are usually going to be some type of energy. Again, it can result in penetrating injuries, but most likely blunt and fractures and head injuries. Okay? Penetrating injuries, most likely if, let's say the desk got deformed and a piece of metal sticking out and she happens to land on that metal. And that would be a penetrating injury. Now, once the body's displaced and hits the ground, we have the fourth one, quaternary, right? What is quaternary though?
It's like all the stuff after.
Like miscellaneous.
What's that?
Like a miscellaneous blood.
Sure, that's okay to think of. But basically, once the blast is done with, anything that develops on the body would be quaternary blast. Okay, so for example, you could have burns because that's a heat source. Respiratory issues, that toxic smoke from the explosion, the heat, whatever. Chest pain from the stress of it. Hyperglycemia. Hyperglycemia would develop in a patient because, remember, whenever there's a injury or inflammation that's going on in the body, your body's going to compensate for that by trying to work to heal it. Well, in order to work, it needs what?
Sugar.
Sugar. The cell's going to need sugar to produce that energy, so it's going to release more sugar to come out of the body, to come out of the pancreas, okay? Or it's going to cause the body that's been storing up sugar in the skeletal muscles or in the liver, go through that gluconeogenesis process to be formed back into glucose. And it's going to start feeding, but the sugar level is going to be high. Okay, that's how we get hyperglycemia. Hypertension, body's just working right. Contaminated wounds, open wounds, all the debris could result in an infection. And then of course the PTSD, the mental aspect of it. of being a part of that type of blast. So these are the 4 stages. All right, yes?
Would, crushing injuries also happen in that voluntary
Was that?
crushing injuries?
Um,
In the last one?
yeah, there are some general, what do they call it? Diagrams that actually put crush injuries in there, but they also put it in tertiary also.
Oh,
Okay, but yeah, it can be put in there. I left it out since I didn't want to cause any confusion. I just want to keep it specific to what it's going to be to each one. Yeah.
If the bomb causes a fire, or the explosion causes a fire, and the patient gets hurt from the fire that was not directly from the explosion, but a result of, is
Mhm.
that a quaternary?
Yeah, because the fire, I'm assuming, started because of the explosion, right? Yeah. So if they got a burn from the fire, yep, that'd be a quaternary. All right. So. All right. Not so much this, but you need to understand this to understand why this is caused. But I'm not gonna tell you which one though. All right, moving on.